Hello and welcome to JRock's Babylon. I'm your host, Jason JRock Houston, and our guest today is my good friend Keith St. John. And today, Keith, you're
What
talking
up,
about,
yo?
rock and roll. Does this guy look like a rock star or not? I tell you, he never ages.
It's AI, man. I'm not even here right now.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
my whatever you would call it, my avatar.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, Kiss is going to do that, so we'll see how that turns out. But we're going to talk about the 10th anniversary of your Remembering Ronnie Montrose concert. So that's quite a big deal. You reached that. Let's talk about that.
Man, I'm loving it. Yeah, we've finally we've hit 10 years. I can't believe it. I
Yeah.
started this out just as one-off. I mean, really sincerely, swear to God, hope to die. Just it was going to be a one-off, and that was that. And this is the 10-year anniversary, which is it's blowing me away. And what really blows me away too is that a lot of the cats that came down and played, the big artists on the first one are into coming down on this one. I don't know if it's because it's 10 years. Maybe 9 years went by and now they're like, I can take some of Keith's shit again and no problem. But
And they want to be a part of that, I guess. It's because every January it's a big event. I think for because COVID for a few years, you took off, but it's been a regular thing. And even we should note that in the past, you even had some of the past Montrose members, besides
yeah,
yourself, like the late great Bob James, who hadn't come out in years. He came out. I believe that was his final
Bob.
performance.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. And it was a good time for me. It was fulfilling. It filled part of a void that I was waiting to kind of meet Bob for a long time because Ronnie and other folks had talked about him so much up in the Bay Area, like the fans from there. And after I met him, he turned out to be this just perfect, polite, like gentlemanly, cool guy. I wasn't expecting that because people said, we haven't seen Bob. We don't know where he is. He's like reclusive. He's this and that. He doesn't want to talk to anybody. But no, man, we had a great experience while he was still around, and it still hurts my heart that he passed, too
Yeah.
early, way too early.
And you know what? I think what you've accomplished with these concerts, Keith, is keeping the memory of Ronnie alive, and more to the point than because for many people they just think of okay, all there is to Montrose is the first two albums with Sammy, which if you really get to know the man's career and you deep into his catalog of music, you discover there's a lot more to it than just those first two albums.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Ronnie's thing goes deep, man. And I mean, there's been plenty of bands like where they take a break or the guitar player takes a break and they do a solo album. And then they come back together and they kind of do their thing. In Ronnie's case, he kind of he changed the whole sound of Montrose after the first two records. And then after that, he just went off and did went and did Gamma, which is a whole different sound. And then he did his instrumental solo stuff. So he was just kind of a free-spirited artist who kind of really didn't want to have to follow his own footsteps. And in some ways, you got to respect that.
Yeah.
A business person might say, well, you should capitalize on your strengths, right? But Ronnie was just he was a purist, man, and I appreciate that about him.
I
So
don't know if he even I'm not sure about this, but I don't know if he ever like made the cover of Guitar Magazine or anything like that or Guitar World. Um,
I have no idea. I know they really love him at Guitar Player Magazine, and Guitar World. So, I would imagine at some point.
yeah, yeah, and it's interesting because even myself, I remember when Ronnie first passed. I can't forget somebody else put on this big event kind of to honor Ronnie, and it really opened my eyes to like I wasn't even aware at the time, but oh my God, you mean he played with Edgar Winter,
Oh
and
yeah,
and I checked some of the stuff out, and I'm like, wow, I didn't realize that was him playing.
yeah, absolutely. That's his history before Montrose. The very last band of note he was in before Montrose was the Edgar Winter Group, and
Yeah,
it was him and oh God, why am I drawing a blank? Rick Derringer,
Rick Derringer who just passed
who
too.
sadly we lost too.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, it was him and Rick Derringer, and so we'd be in the car sometimes, and Ronnie, I'd go, which one of those is you? And he'd point out the guitar because there's two guitars running.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and so let's talk now, Keith. How do you go about You want to talk about some of the artists that are going to be appearing this year?
Yeah, sure. Well, okay, first of all, there's some new blood. Billy Sheehan is coming and he's never done it before. Um, and he's tickled pink to do it. He said, "Yeah, I never knew that who was doing that or whatever. Always heard about it, and glad you finally called me."
Yeah.
So Billy's coming. Reb Beach is coming, from original member of Winger and guitar player for Whitesnake for a long time.
Yeah.
And Reb and I met years ago, and then once in a while we always say hi or whatever, but we actually had a chat many years ago when while I was in Montrose and we were touring on a gig we did together with Whitesnake. So it was like Scorpions, Whitesnake, Dokken, Montrose, or something like that. One of those orders. I know we were first. And he reminded me of a conversation that we had. And then he started talking about the Ronnie Montrose music and the Montrose records. And I just realized how deep of a fan he was, man. He really, I mean, he's as deep as all these Bay Area guys who like
Yeah.
grew up on Ronnie. He grew up on it too. And we started discussing songs and like and then the history of Montrose and all that stuff. So I'm really excited to have Reb. He's a guy whose heart is really into it. Um, and it'll be fun to have him and Doug Aldridge up too. And
Oh
I'll
wow.
try to get those guys together so we can have like a little mini Whitesnake reunion.
Yeah, I urge people
Um,
to check out. Speaking of Doug Aldrich, his latest album with the Daisies. It's a blues album. Man, he kicks ass
yeah,
on. Yeah,
yeah, I like it. I like that departure that they did into the blues thing, and I like Doug on that record. He sounds
I
great,
love his
man.
solo on. I think it's by The Thrill Is Gone. I just love that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, man. Yeah, anytime we're in the studio, Doug noodling off on the side on his own, he'd play a lot of those old blues stuff, man, like an Allman Brothers stuff and whatnot. And I'd be like, man, that's really cool shit, man. Maybe one day we should
yeah. And I
get
just
some
got
Burning
to give
Rain
a shout
stuff
out
in
to our
there.
mutual friend Doug. I don't know him as well as you, but I've had the opportunity to interview him a few times. Always been a super nice guy, and I'm sure we're just equally glad that he got over his throat cancer.
Oh God, yes. Yes, that was that's got to be the scariest thing, to be alive and have that happen. One of our mutual friends, Chris Frazier, had a very similar throat cancer case and had gone through it like 7 years ago, um, and very successfully. And so, at least that I think that must have given him a little bit of hope, and that gave me a lot of hope too. That this is beatable. And talking to him recently feels really good about everything. So.
Another guy, a legendary guy that beat it a couple years back, Peter Criss. I bring him up because, of course, I'm sure you know Billy Sheehan played bass on the new Peter Criss, kicking ass on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, when does Billy not kick ass?
yeah. I mean, he does everything. I mean, like a lot of people, I first discovered him, of course, with David Lee Roth, and then
Yeah.
Mr. Big, and I love the fact that Mr. Big kind of gets pigeonholed because of a one hit ballad, but there's much more to their catalog. I mean, he's much more of a
It's
metal guy.
happened to a lot of bands, man. I mean, that was Aerosmith for their first thing in the 70s, man. They were pigeonholed with one song,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
But hey,
And
you can't complain too much about that. And it's great. Like you bring up Billy. I love the fact that you after 10 years, you have people calling you now, Keith, to take part in the event.
well, yeah, I mean, it has gotten around, the name's gotten around. Once again, like I said, I never planned on doing anything more
Yeah,
than the first year. I mean, I started it because I felt he needed more of a memorial
yeah,
celebration. That we had one, but it was so quickly after he passed, not everyone could make it, and it
yeah.
was up in the Bay Area. So, people were on tour, whatnot, and people were asking me, when is something going to happen? And then, I just put that one together, and
Yeah.
here we are.
And 10 years later, it's kind of interesting that it's not even any of the original guys that are still left. It's Keith St. John, the final singer he worked with. And I don't know, maybe things happen for a reason. You're a young blood. Now let's talk about some original guys. Have you ever communicated at all with like Bill Church or Denny Carmassi? Have they ever
I've run
taken?
into all of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I spoke with Sam several times too. And yeah, I mean, the great guys. very down to earth, just like you would expect. I started doing this show in Las Vegas for a little while called Rating the Rock Vault
Oh,
over
sure,
the
sure.
last three and
Yeah,
a half years.
yeah.
And one of the guys who started it is Howard Leese, the guitar player from Heart,
Of course.
Hall of Famer Howard Leese,
Yeah.
and who's actually played in the Ronnie Montrose Remembered show before too.
Okay.
And he told me he always felt Ronnie was pissed off at him for stealing his drummer because while he was in the band, I guess they hired Denny Carmassi, and Denny was kind of floating in between. I know Denny did Sammy's stuff,
uh,
and then I know he did Ronnie's stuff too. And
yeah,
then
I think Bill
yeah,
Church too. He played on a couple of Sammy's albums too.
and
Yeah.
then he just joined Heart. But
Yeah.
anyway, back to January 24th, 2026, man.
Yeah. Let's tell
Um,
people where they can see this at and how they can get the tickets.
okay, so you can get the tickets at RonnieMontroseRemembered.com. I know that's a mouthful, man.
Yeah.
RonnieMontroseRemembered.com. If you look me up, Keith St. John on Instagram, you can find me and go to the link tree and you can get there. Go to my Facebook. You can go to the Ronnie Montrose Remembered Facebook, and you can get the link to the tickets and more information that'll tell you about the VIP packages and this and that and the other thing.
And I know I'm not going to reveal too much, Keith, but we want to leave some surprises. But being the 10th anniversary show, any special surprises for this year's show?
There's definitely some special surprises that I will, have just come up last minute and keep coming up last minute. I mean, I can go through some of the players. Obviously, I mean, I've got them listed on my Instagram right
Sure.
now.
Yeah,
We already talked about Doug Aldridge. We already mentioned Billy Sheehan. We got Gilby Clarke from Guns N' Roses,
I love
who
Gilby.
also played at the first one. We got Brad Gillis, of course, from Night Ranger, and he was at the first one.
Wow.
We got a brand new guy. Do you know who Alessandro Del Vecchio is?
I've heard of him. I'm not too aware of too much of what he's done, but I know he's played some of these events and
So
is
I
very
met him. I met him because he was the main producer for Frontiers Records and
oh,
slash songwriter for a long
yeah,
time.
I see who that is. Okay, okay.
So a couple times that Doug and I went over to play the Frontiers Rock Festival, I met Alessandro, who also remotely played keyboards on some of our stuff. And I saw him sing. I'm like, this guy's an incredible singer. So this year I decided to ask him if he wanted to come, and he was way into it. So Alessandro's coming over, Italian guy. He sounds like Glenn Hughes or something, man. And I'm
Oh,
like,
wow.
he's really really got a great voice. And let's see, we got guys from YNT, Brad Lang and Mike Vanderhule, um, Jeff Duncan from Armored Saint. Um,
Like you
I
say, go on
mentioned
the
Red
website
Beach
and
already.
yeah.
Stacy David Blades,
Oh, I love him. Yeah.
formerly known as Stacy Blades. He's a monster guitar player. Phil Demmel, who he did stints with Slayer and Lamb of God and Violence, and he was in that band Machine Head for
Now
years
you
and
get
years.
into the heavy stuff. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
Well, believe it or not, I mean, Phil grew up out here in California too, and he loves the Gamma stuff. He's like, I want to play, I won't tell you what song he's going to play, but he picked a really cool Gamma song with a lot of guitar chops in it. And he loves his shit, man. And I think the last time he played the event a couple of years ago, he also picked a Gamma tune.
So
Um,
yeah, let's get into some behind the scenes stuff, Keith. Like as far as how much goes into is there much rehearsal that goes into a show like this, or you just assume everybody knows?
well, no, I mean, the very first one, we rehearsed every single song diligently and really arranged everything for everybody. And whether it be at Mates in North Hollywood or one of the studios down by the convention center, we worked it out. And we spent some time. I mean, first one, Derek St. Holmes and Brad Woodford, I got pictures of us out in the parking lot at Mates, like eating Thai food and like, showing each other, different guitars and just
Yeah.
hanging out. It's like it was a big old crazy camp when we did that. Since then, each year I just ask people because some of the same repeat players come and I already know
They got
they
their chops.
they can
Yeah.
handle this, they can handle that.
Yeah.
And I'll just ask them, you need to rehearse this.
Yeah.
And some of them will say, yeah, Keith, we need to if one guy wants to rehearse it, then we do it. If
Okay.
one person in the lineup. And if everybody says no, we're all good, we'll
And
do
so
we'll
as far
rehearse a
as
sound check or
far as
whatever. Then I'm
somebody
like,
says they
fine.
need to rehearse, now does a rehearsal happen like the day of the show, or do you get together before that, or?
Well, it happens the day of the show if it's at sound check. Otherwise, no, it's got to be, if people are going to be at NAM and they want to rehearse, then we got to do it in the evening after NAM or whenever, people
So,
can
so
break away
again,
from NAM and come down and,
there's
yeah,
a
and
lot
do an
more that
hour on
goes
their
into a
song
show
or
like
whatever.
this than just the night of the show, right? Like
And
you're,
if it's enough LA guys or whatever, then, I can do it up in LA and do all that. So.
have you ever thought about, this, the fact that you're 10 years into it, it's become such a popular event? Have you, I don't know if you do, or have you thought about like streaming the event or putting it
No, not really. I mean, I prefer to keep it,
live?
like Ringling Brothers. You got to be there if you're going to see it. You can
Yeah, yeah.
edit that out, right?
Yeah,
Um,
no, no, I love that because Ringling Brothers. I mean, that's something I used to love to go to. It's sadly no more. But I get your point. You got to see it to believe it. Yeah.
absolutely.
And now
Um,
you mentioned Brad Lang a little bit ago. You were sharing with me off there before we went started the interview that you, you and Brad and a couple other guys, Doug Aldridge, are working on possibly some new Burning Rain music. You want to talk at all about that?
well, I talked with all the guys before the holidays, and everybody said they'd be into it because I thought to myself, holidays coming up. I know that the Dead Daisies are going to have a little time off the road, and so first I asked Bloss and Brad just to see if they were going to be around. And then they said, yeah. And then I asked Doug and he said, yeah, sounds good. So I was over Doug Aldrich, that is, for you people who aren't
Yeah,
yet in the know.
yeah.
I was over Doug's and we tossed around some ideas and he said, some of that stuff might be good for a Burning Rain thing. So yeah, I mean, I'd like to put out a single and I think he feels the same. And at least a single right now, do a video for it. We talked about the idea of doing some videos for some of our already existing material that's been out there for a while without videos that we should have made videos, but we never had time to. So we may be doing some of that, see what happens.
That would be fun. Now, you guys have put out some great records in the past. Has Burning Rain ever had the chance to go out and play live, or is that something you hope to do too in the
Yeah,
future?
we've been out live. Not as much as I think all of us would like to. Our schedules have been tough,
Sure.
between, if I was, Doug's been, in Whitesnake and Dio and
Yeah.
now the Dead Daisies, and they've all had busy schedules. And
I know Blas is
then
working
my
with
stuff with
Jersey now.
Montrose and Kingdom Come and Lynch Mob and et cetera, et cetera. I don't know if you remember the little band Gunzo I did with Tracy and Rudy Sarzo. That was fun for about a year.
Oh yeah, yeah. Now that you brought that up, did things just not kind of work out, or with that project, it just kind of faded away, or?
Um, yeah, well, as you know, the original LA Guns got back together with Phil Lewis.
Sure, sure,
So,
yeah.
and that I'm actually happy that that's been really successful because I always feel like if the original band can be together, that made the magic, that made it all happen. I
Yeah,
always feel that's the best thing. So,
yeah, and
yeah,
then
I was actually kind of happy to see them. I was when we played when Gunzo, that is, played in Las Vegas, which is where Phil was living,
okay.
and we stopped in and we played Vamped on our way over to wherever on like a Wednesday or Tuesday or something. Phil came up and joined us for a song. And it actually made me feel kind of bad. I actually felt sad that these guys hadn't worked out. You know what I mean? Like just kind of,
I didn't realize that's kind of the reason that fell apart. Wow, to kind of it's kind of like the Kiss Unplugged. Eric Singer suggests, hey, why don't you have Peter come and join us, and then that leads to the big Kiss reunion. But in a way, I got to say, Keith, I'm ultimate LA Guns fan. If that's what led to that, I love the fact that Tracy and Bill were able to patch up their differences,
me too, man.
and
But
I
I'll
was
tell you,
actually,
while I was singing it, that is fun as hell material to sing.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
just it's so glam and it's so heavy at the same time and just it's fun stuff, man.
I
So,
mean, for interesting trivia, I think it said on the Wikipedia for LA Guns they've had like something like 57 members or something.
oh gosh, wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, there were a couple of factions of them at different times, obviously, and I think there were
That's
three
sure.
of them at one time.
I mean, I think LA Guns have been going since like 1985 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow. Heavy duty, man. Oh, I didn't mention Dave Amato. Dave Amato from REO will be down,
oh wow.
and from REO and from Ted Nugent.
Yeah, that's another thing I gotta give you props on, Keith. Because when you start announcing who's going to be each year at the event, it's pretty exciting, and I love the fact that like you could have a Billy Sheen and a guy that played in our REO Speedway that because that shows just how many people Ronnie Montrose actually influenced.
Absolutely. The
Um,
diversity.
and the diversity, and that's always a cool thing because I'm a type of guy that I really am a fan of like hard rock and metal, but I'll tell you, I have appreciation for anything that's good. I listen to everything from Tom Petty, the Eagles. Um, if it's good, it's good. It shouldn't really matter. You got to be willing to open your ears and give it a listen.
Absolutely, man. Good music's good music.
And
Speaking of good music, Katja Reicherman, who was Rod Stewart's saxophone player for many, many, many years, she will be joining us again this year. Because there's lots of stuff that requires saxophone in some of Ronnie's works.
so how is that how you kind of find out about somebody like that? It's like, well, okay, we need a saxophone player, so I'm going to start researching who we can get. Or
Well, after being in LA long enough, I kind of have little strings and feelers around for people so I can make a call and say, "Hey man, I need someone who would be good at doing this." And you got some of these by and large in every circle there's always like one musician who kind of almost prides themselves on being the I can get the right guy for the right gig.
yeah,
Call me if you need something, and they'll have like a long laundry list of like players and stuff. So
yeah, yeah.
I
That's
think at the beginning, the first year I put this together, I went through that process and then maybe expanded it a little bit over the next 2 years. And then I'm like, well, okay, I've got enough X amount. I've got enough xylophone players on my list now that'll last me 10 years if I need them. So
again after 10 years. I don't think you have to worry too much because each year of the event kind of gets bigger and bigger. It doesn't seem like it's going to go away or fade away anytime soon. And I love that. But do you have like a wish list of like people that hey, before we do bring this thing to an end, maybe one day, I'd like to get these guys to play the event.
not really with this, for me, it's like if someone's heart is in this and they just love that music, that means everything. There've been some pretty, you know, pedigree players that have come by and just kind of, they like being there or whatnot, but they're, if they're not that, you know,
I got
present,
yeah, yeah.
then it's different, But
It's
most
kind of
people
like
with the Montrose stuff, I mean, like I said, I mean, you had guys like Derek St. Holmes, who's, was with Ted Nugent and
yeah,
forever, and everybody knows him, and Whitford and those guys. I mean, they were kind of Ronnie's contemporaries in a way, and they just love digging into that shit, man. And that's what turns me on. We had you know, Roger Earl came down from Foghat
I
one
love
year.
Roger. Yeah, what a cool guy. Yeah,
Any of these kind of cats, that's what turns me on. It's like, um, but a lot of the guitar stars grew up with that because that was the age that stuff came out. That first record came out in 73.
yeah, yeah. Another cool cat I know is going to be taking place has taken place before is David Ellison. I know he obviously played with Ronnie and Montrose, and
Yep.
this year he's joined Metal Church. How cool is that?
Yep. That's way cool, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that was a cool move. I was happy to hear that. Yeah, no, David's done it. Well, David was in Montrose with me for a good, whatever, 3 or 4 years. And that rhythm section with him and Jimmy DeGrasso on drums was pretty tight. Those guys were a pretty cool unit. And
Yeah,
we played,
and I know you also played with James, your good friend James Kodak in Montrose. All these guys that you played with in Montrose. I was curious. I know you guys never got time to get together and record any actual song, but are there any demos or anything that may ever see the light of day? Did you ever get a chance to?
there are, and people keep bugging me about them over the years. And I get involved in my own recording projects so much throughout the year and the Burning Rain stuff and all these other albums that I kind of work on
Sure.
that I don't get to. And I keep saying this will be the year. Yeah, we started recording. We wrote a whole record, or more than a whole record
Yeah.
together,
Wow.
and the bed tracks were laid down for it, and the guitar tracks, at least all the rhythm tracks, were laid down for it, and maybe some leads probably too. And they are somewhere. That's
And
an issue between myself and Lisa Montrose,
I
which
was
is
gonna say, I
Ronnie's
imagine you'd have to work with her.
Ronnie's wife. That's an issue between us and me organizing it. I need to organize it and get a label that wants to do it. So
And thank God that you and her have the kind of relationship where you guys could are friendly and you can work something like
yeah,
this together.
absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the best way to do something like that, 'cause you don't want to disrespect anybody.
No, no, not at all.
I don't think you ever would. You don't seem like that kind of guy, and then that's probably part of the reason it's taken so long to do. Because if you're gonna do it, you want to put out something
You want
that's
it
gonna
right.
last. Yeah, you want the
I just
monster.
have, I mean, in when I put these shows up, is I remember it because people email me and people text me on social media and stuff, and they say they start naming the songs, the titles of the songs that what they were called when we played them, back then, because we used to add them into our set. When we first started out doing this,
Yeah.
yeah, we did Space Station #5 and we did Rock Candy and Bad Motor Scooter and all that stuff, but we also did like three of our new songs too
Oh,
in
okay.
those sets back in the early days that we came out.
Yeah.
So a lot of people remember that stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty cool that you got to be part of that, and that you're the guy that's keeping the legacy going. Um, Being that this is such a popular event, and I guess like you're saying, if anybody that wants to come to check out the live event, hey, it's a rock and roll party. Come down, be a part of it. But have you ever thought about like maybe one year recording the event, like putting out a live CD or DVD or something like that?
Yeah, I've thought about it, but
A
I
lot of
know there's probably contracts to be signed and money to be made, but
for sure. Yeah, yeah, there you go. See, it's
it really that hasn't really been my reason to
intention.
do this.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Well,
it probably should be done at least once.
I say just this. Maybe because we don't even want to think about that if and when the time ever does come to kind of wrap it up. But it seems like there's no end in sight, right? And it just keeps getting better and better. That's got to be a great feeling for you.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose with all the videos that individuals have taken and sent me over the years, I suppose I could put something together, but it wouldn't be nearly as professional as what you're talking about if we got a guy with the proper boom mics and
Yeah.
the whole thing.
Let's say
Um,
you're gonna do it, you do it right, and sometimes some things are worth waiting for. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I think so. And it was worth waiting all year since 2025. If you were there at 2025, you saw the Rock Candy Baby t-shirt,
There you go. There you go.
uh, the Silver Bomber, and
You
from
got any
RMR.
merchandise, or is it gonna be available the night of the show?
Yeah, there'll be merchandise available on the night of the show. And actually, I am going, it's only a couple weeks before now, but I am going to get some stuff up online that they can pre-order if they want, which I've never done before.
Oh, interesting.
And so go to the site, go to the social medias and find the little pre-order stuff and click the link and you can pre-order a shirt. This year we're going back to white on black.
Okay.
So
So Keith, I hope you had a great holiday season. Now, before you wrap it up, um, one final question. Like I know this event comes every January, and probably you spend most of the year kind of planning it and getting it together. So when the show is over this year, like do you have a lot of downtime, or do you start getting involved like with the rock vault again and stuff like that?
No, I'm for now, I'm for this year right now, I don't have any plans with the Rock Vault. The last two shows before the end of the year, December 30th was the last one. That was it. And the Rock Vault is going to try to go on tour, what I understand. They're working on tour dates, so that might be something you can see me on. But I have a couple of records that I've been stalling the other people who've been wanting me to work on them since summertime. I haven't been stalling, just my schedule's been too busy.
Oh,
So
sure. Yeah, yeah, makes
I'm
sense.
going to get those done and I'll announce those on social media and promote them and put them out there too. And so I'm happy to do that. Like I tell most people, my favorite place is in the studio, the writing process. And And you could probably find me in northern Italy and Austria and Czechoslovakia and Germany doing little mini tours of my own music too, and Burning Rain stuff, and Montrose stuff, and Kingdom
That's
Come
cool.
stuff.
And what's cool about a guy like you, Keith, is I mean, I think it's great that Ronnie, of course, is where most people know you from, and so it's great that you're kind of waving the Montrose flag and keeping the legacy going. Um, but you seem to like it's interesting because you put that like that's kind of like, and I think it's great that you're doing it because obviously you want to remember Ronnie. It's your way of saying thanks, I guess. Of thank you, Ronnie, for giving me this opportunity, and you're waving the flag and you're doing all this other stuff too. But everything else kind of falls in the wayside. But that's great because you're doing what you love to do.
Absolutely. And one thing I got to say about that, I don't say it that often, but when you're a performer, when you're a singer or a performer who feels the audience, and that's almost part of the, I don't want to call it addiction, but that's almost part of the thing that starts to come into your life that you didn't have before, that when you get away from it, you want to get back to it. Um, there's a special energy from those people, from those Montrose fans that were there, perhaps back in the early 70s when Sammy and Ronnie did it, and also when we came out as
Yeah,
Montrose for like 12 years and did our thing. And they really don't have anywhere else to go to to experience that, to experience part of what we did. Now, some of these players, like you mentioned, David Ellison, Jimmy DeGrasso, Sean McNabb,
yeah,
and there's more, were actually performed with Ronnie during those time periods,
yeah.
and were in Montrose as well. And there's a different magic in that kind of audience than per se when I was touring with George Lynch and Lynch Mob.
Yeah.
That audience has a different feel, different connection. Still very intense, but it's just a bit different. I can't even tell
I
you
mean,
what it is.
well, like you're saying, like with Lynch Mob,
It's a
it's
different
kind of
element. There's like
alternating lineups, alternating singers. Doesn't seem to matter as long as George is in the show.
well, yeah, but you know who the diehards are, and you can, they're like the people in the front row, the VIPs and this and that, and they've probably been there since Oni
They,
Logan, since,
yeah,
since the
yeah,
first record. And they have an energy, and the Montrose people there that have been there all along the way, they have a different energy. It's
sure,
like it's
sure.
like blues and purples, they're different. And I really appreciate being able to offer an outlet for those people with, let's call it, the purple energy
Sure, sure.
there to actually come into the purple room and experience that.
What you're saying, like these other cats like Jimmy DeGrasso and Sean McNabb and David Elson, who also played with Ronnie. It's why the very reason why when you ask them to take part in your event every year. Oh yeah, hey, me, we're part of the same club, Keith. Yeah, we all played the stuff together. Let's get together. Let's celebrate.
Yeah. But that's the thing about Ronnie too, is if you played with him, there was a certain soulful element there that just maybe was stronger than a lot of other things. He just he had such a vibe when you walked in the room with the man. You know what I mean? And if you experienced being part of a unit with him, and even part of the whole room as an audience, we were kind of all there together. It just was almost like he was like the father at like a Thanksgiving dinner, and
Sure.
like he's like, let me hear from you, and
Yeah.
blah blah
Let me ask
blah.
you
And
the final question for tonight. Having played with Ronnie, do you think he even had a clue how loved he was by the fans?
no,
Yeah,
nope,
I think I get that kind of about him.
he didn't. And and that's the sadness of it, is I don't think he ever knew, how.
I hope he's watching down, if you know what I mean. What do you like? What do you think he would think of an event like this in his honor?
Oh, I know he'll be there, 100%. He's
Uh,
been there every time.
that's
Uh,
great to hear, my friend.
and he'll be there this time on January 24th, Saturday at 7:30 p.m. at the Grand Theater in Anaheim, California, where you can find tickets.
That's a great little theater. I love the fact that it's on a Saturday night too, because a lot more people will be able to go.
Yeah, well, there seems to be a lot of stuff going on the Friday.
Oh, that's great.
Um, I do know a lot of the other concert producers and the event producers, so I check back with people in July and try to take the better night.
Okay,
So
well, great, Keith. I love talking to you as always. So when you drop those other records, when that's ready to happen, let me know. We'll have you back on the show. I'll be posting an interview later tonight. So thanks for doing this, Keith. It's great talking to
right
you.
on, Jason. Thanks for having me, man.
Anytime, brother.
Anytime.
Okay, bye
Always
bye.
willing to talk. All
That's
right,
great.
man. Peace out.